Big Shelf.
Hi, I'm Shawn from That Shelf, and I'm joined by Eric Bauza, the voice behind Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and hundreds of other famous voices and cartoons, to talk about his new show, Stay Tuned, which premieres on CBC Gem on December 2nd. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. I had the opportunity to watch episodes 3 and 6 of Stay Tuned, and they were fantastic. And my first question for you is that you tackled subject matters such as queerness and female sexuality. So I'm curious as to why you chose to talk about those topics specifically.
I just think that I mean, I think if we did this series over six more episodes, there would be even more subjects to cover, or even circle back and talk more about these issues because they're only 22 minutes long. You could spend forever, I think, talking about these topics, and I think that they're just we picked them because they're important. They're still relevant today as representation and inclusion evolves. And I think it's just that much more important to the viewers, especially if we're trying to, even tackle these things even in a light sense in cartoons for kids. There's still something there that I feel was just getting started back in the day, back in the 80s. Like I just discovered that through making this show that the creator of Shira, who was the daughter of the owner of Filmation, was a lesbian. So and she was really trying. You could really see that she was trying to, move the medium forward and move storytelling forward through the storytelling of Shira. But that's a show that did get cut short. And when you look at the reboot, it's so intelligent and it's so smart, and it definitely covers the bases that the original one missed. So I feel like having a conversation about, queer coding in animation, and not just even animation, but definitely entertainment throughout history, how we depict characters, what we considered to be comedy, uh, men in drag is now what used to be kind of like a joke is now considered the highest art form and one of the most watched, at least on RuPaul's Drag Race, like on
Yeah.
reality shows. It is one of the most watched, reality type shows out there, and I just love how that community has taken something that was once seen as a joke and has taken their own power to it and have embraced it and saying, yeah, this is who we are, and we're not ashamed, and we're actually getting a lot of support from it. So to kind of see how that's also, being seen in cartoons nowadays with something like Steven Universe, where, the boundaries of gender are kind of, not really something that will hold someone back, but kind of just move people forward, characters on the show and the viewers. I think it's an important thing.
Thank you. You mentioned about learning about the history of Shira, and I was wondering, was there anything you learned in your research of interviews that shocked you, for better or worse, that really threw you for a loop?
Well, again, I always go back to consumerism, how it was just a decision I feel like that was made. Again, the powers that be are in office. You kind of have to wonder why they made those decisions. And of course, if you're the president of the United States and suddenly you lift the ban on corporations, you know, selling to kids directly, like toy commercials, like Transformers, you're probably going to be a favorite president. Those kind of decisions don't happen by accident. And honestly, I'm okay with it. I bought every one of those Transformers, and I continue to buy them because they keep repackaging them in the original 80s packaging. If you're a collector, if you're a hoarder like me, and what's worse is that what's not so shocking is that I'm passing those traits off to my son. So he loves Transformers now. And when you're a voiceover artist and you're doing voices in these cartoons, you collect the characters that you voiced because that's your little trophy cabinet. Here, I'll show you. This is proof. This is proof. I don't know if you
Okay.
can see that cabinet up there. My
Oh,
mom
wow.
my mom keeps every one of the
Oh my God.
characters that I've done a voice for. It's true.
Wow.
This consumerism is real, and
Yeah.
I mean, I may not have needed to create a show to answer my own questions about it, but it's funny just to see, you know, the clinical point of view of it, and hopefully the warm fuzzy outlook on it. I think audiences today are definitely a little bit more selective, and especially in today's spending climate, you might want to buy milk and bread versus that Optimus Prime Lego toy that you've been staring at Walmart.
Absolutely. One of the main topics of episode 3 is queerness and queer coding and how much representation has been felt in changing the past 15 years. I love the spotlight that you put on that community, but is there any animation that has made you feel represented at all?
Oh, I was just mentioning in the last interview that I was reading for this pilot for it's out now. It's called Fire Pal Buds, or it's about a firefighting family, and the main family is Filipino. I believe it's from the creators of Elena of Avalor on Disney
Oh,
Junior, and it has to do with I believe a single dad, Filipino dad, and he's a firefighter. And I remember when I was reading the pilot, um, that I didn't, and this is where it gets me, is that halfway through the script, the character starts speaking Tagalog, which is the native language of the Filipinos, the Pinoy community. And I got choked up. I was like, I didn't even realize. And that's how conditioned and trained I was to think that this dad was Caucasian or anything but Filipino. And as soon as they started speaking Tagalog in the script, I was like, oh my God, like it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like they are writing a show where the main characters are Filipinos. And it's like, I never thought in a million years, that it would even be a thing, like it's one of those things again where I feel like you're so complacent or trained or just this is the norm that when something like a curveball like that gets thrown at you, you're just like, "Oh my God." Like I didn't think that this is something that I needed in my life, but apparently it is now. So,
wow.
not to say that every show has to be a Filipino based family show, but the fact that the main characters are in history of animation and even in entertainment, usually, the minority character is the side character. So it was really meaningful. And I didn't keep the part. It went to another handsome Filipino actor, which is fine. Who has a better IMDb than me, I'm sure.
Oh,
But that's great. I'm glad that someone's doing it, and that we are being included, like we are being seen as main character worthy.
the two episodes surrounding queerness and sexuality, they don't hide the problems of animation from the 20th century, such as attempting to hide gay characters and female characters' entire personality being based around their sexuality. The example you use in the show is the secretary from the Powerpuff Girls. So, with the advancement in representation and equality we have seen in animation, how do you think these older shows should be remembered? Do you think they should be left as is, taken down, or revamped, as in the example of Shira that you used from the 2018 version?
Yeah, I think left as is, and should be studied and examined in shows like this. You don't exactly have to. I'm sure you could rebroadcast with the idea that your kid might see this cartoon and just kind of walk them through it. I think kids these days, and I'm the father of a 6-year-old, they're very, they're, they're a lot faster and a lot more advanced, and they take in a lot of information. And if they don't understand the words, they definitely understand the feelings that are attached to situations, even if it is the classic damsel in distress. It doesn't always have to be a damsel in distress, right?
Yeah.
Ladies don't always need our rescuing. In fact, it might be the other way around in some cases. Um, and that's okay. You have to just be able to be there for the younger viewers, to be able to give them a more up to date, you know, a more up to date information, and how you should react to certain situations. And how times were different back then. Show them that these are things of the past that at that point in time may have been the norm, but we've kind of moved forward from there. And especially when it deals with things like racism, not just sexism or equality with gender, or even your point of view in the LGBTQ plus spectrum. It's like, the racism was such a huge thing, and I know that's another big episode in this series. And yeah, always kind of come with that disclaimer. But it's funny that they may not even see it as younger viewers. They may not even understand, like, what is even happening there. But if they do have those questions, be prepared to answer them in full, and then, yeah, look at the future of children's programming that does include multiculturalism and does celebrate equality between the sexes.
Are there any issues you see in animation today that are very prominent? And if so, are there any ways you think we could overcome them?
I think one of the things that we haven't covered in the show is that animation is a boys' club. I think primarily when you walk into animation studio, there's like there are some ladies there, definitely some strong female representation, but I think mainly in history, animation has always been dominated by men, white men, and it is what it is. There's maybe a lot more nerdy dudes out there than ladies that love cartoons or making cartoons, but I think that there needs to be, and there are definitely organizations like Women in Animation, WIA, WIA, in the United States, that definitely looks out and has a yearly event where they kind of celebrate women in animation and everything in between, I think, and just people who are underrepresented. The playing field needs to be leveled a bit, and it's happening. We're seeing a lot of that representation, not just with voice actors behind the microphone accurately portraying these characters on screen, even though they're hand drawn in fiction. It's that much better when these characters are grounded in reality, and that goes the same way with storytelling. You want the person behind the pen writing the story to be of that background or represent that minority group of people, because it just means more, and you will feel the difference between someone who is representative of that community and someone who isn't. So I think again, animation just ain't for the boys, Doc. It's for the girls too.
Thank you. All of your answers have been so well said and expressed. And I just have one last question. If there is one thing you would want people to take away from watching the show, whether it's one episode or all six, what would it be?
That cartoons should be taken seriously.
Yes, yes,
You know what I mean? I feel like
yes.
cartoons are as much as they are for the kids. We have that veil upon us that it's just for
Oh
the
my
younger
God,
viewers.
yeah.
There, we being a cartoon maker myself, we put jokes in there for the adults to keep the adults' attention and entertained. But I think that message goes even towards the big companies and the corporations, like, Warner Brothers Discovery or DreamWorks, Universal, MSNBC, and Disney.
Yeah.
They always look at cartoons as like a way to burn tax dollars, or kind of like, whatever, but we've seen more now, more than ever, time and time again, when a great movie is in theaters that, breaks box office records, could be a cartoon. And that is saying something, is that it's just another way to tell a story, really. We still use actors. We still use the big orchestras to score the pictures, and editors and writers and colorists. Like there's still that craft of filmmaking there in TV and in film, that I think just because it's a cartoon doesn't get the respect that it does. But I feel like maybe they'll see the importance of after kind of watching and examining a show like Stay Tuned, and hopefully it's also a tool to start conversation or keep the conversation going about moving forward and seeing a brighter future.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's something that needs to be appreciated much more by the masses. I couldn't tell it better. I couldn't say it better myself. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you again
Yeah,
for being such a great interviewer, and
thank you.
I hope you get to continue watching the rest of the episodes.
I'm
And
so excited to watch the rest of the show. So thank you so much, Eric, for your time.
yeah,
I
of
really,
course.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Oh my God. Oh, that was amazing to hear. Thank you.
No worries. Have yourself a good day.
Thank you, you too.
See ya.
Thank you. And thank you again for Eric for taking the time to talk. And Stay Tuned premieres on CBC Gem December 2nd.